Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is suggest. And this is a verb that was recommended by the viewer Ella. And so I want to say thank you from the beginning. But now let's take a moment to look at some ways that we use the verb suggest. One way to use the verb suggest is to mean to put forward for consideration. Now, this might sound a little confusing, but I just said that a particular viewer put forward this verb. The viewer said, I think it would be great if you made a video about the verb suggest. So that's exactly what has happened. A second way you'll hear suggest used is to mean to cause one to think that something is true. So we might be looking at the way someone is acting, their body language, and maybe their behavior, and say, oh, your behavior is suggesting that you're angry, right? So maybe their arm crosses, maybe they're kind of stomping their feet as they walk. So this behavior, these actions are causing us to think that it is true that this person is angry. A third way you'll hear suggest used is to mean to express something indirectly. So with this particular definition, we mean that someone has not used sort of clear language, clear words, but we can kind of interpret the words that they have used and believe, oh, they're saying this or they're expressing this feeling or this particular idea. You should know the verb suggest is a regular verb. To make the progressive form, all I need to do is add ing to form suggesting. The past tense and participle forms of this verb are made by adding ed. Our base verb, suggest, ends in a T sound. So our past tense and participle endings are going to make an id sound. And we're going to add an extra syllable to this word as we say it. It should sound like this: suggested, suggested. Okay. Now, there are a couple phrasal verbs you might hear with suggest. We're going to discuss two meanings for the phrasal verb suggest for. The first way that gets used is to mean that we're recommending something for a particular person. Or for a particular purpose, a particular purpose. An example of this might be, I suggest lots of vitamin C for your cold. Maybe a friend or family member is giving this particular advice, this recommendation, to say, I think this is going to help you feel better, or I think this might help you fight the cold. Okay. A second way to use suggest for is to mean to recommend or nominate someone for a particular role or position. An example of this might be, they suggested their old boss for the open manager position. So perhaps a group of employees are saying, we know who would be good for this particular role. And so they have perhaps formally done this, perhaps informally, just by talking to others, say, hey, I think this person would be good to be the manager on this team. Now let's continue using our verb of the day in a couple different verb tenses. Today we're going to practice the imperative and the simple future using be going to. Let's start with the imperative. The imperative many times is known as a command. So with this particular type of sentence, we are telling someone to do a particular action, or we might be telling them not to do a particular action. The imperative is unique because there is no stated subject in the sentence. The subject is always implied. It's either you singular if I'm talking to one person, maybe I'm writing to one person, or it's you plural if I'm talking to many people or writing to many people. So we can begin an affirmative or positive imperative sentence by starting with the base verb. Okay? Now, sometimes people will say, gosh, that seems rude to give a command, tell someone to do a particular action. So we can always soften things or make it a little more polite by adding the word please. So my example is something that can apply here to anyone watching this video. Please suggest verbs for future videos. I love hearing your thoughts, other viewers' ideas for different things that I can discuss. I keep a list, but it is always very interesting to hear from the people who are actually watching these videos. Now, if I want to make a negative imperative sentence, to do that, I can start my sentence with do not and then the base verb. I can also add please to negative sentences. I can put it at the beginning of a sentence or I can put it at the end, but I don't need it in both places. An example here, maybe you're sitting in a meeting and many people have been suggesting ideas and somebody, maybe the leader of the meeting finally says, don't suggest yet another idea. We just have too many. Okay? Now let's take a look at simple future sentences. As we've discussed in many videos, there are many ways to talk about future actions. One way to do that is with be going to. This is really common as people talk about their plans. You might hear it for people making predictions as well, but more commonly with the plans. Okay? And the thing about the simple future using be going to is that we need to pay attention to our subject. Our subject is going to tell us what form of be needs to come after it. Okay? So if my subject is I'm going to use am. If my subject is you, we, or they, I'll use are. And if my subject is he, she, or it, I'll use is. Okay? So subject, then a present form of be, then going to, and then the base verb. Okay, so no S, no ing, no ed, no ending on that verb. Okay, here's an example. I'm going to suggest a pasta dish for the party because it will be easy to feed a large group. Okay, here maybe we have a group of people planning an event and someone is saying or indicating as the group meets, they plan to make this recommendation, to share this idea, and sort of explains their reason behind this idea. Now, if we want to make a negative simple future sentence using be going to, again, I start with my subject. I use the present form of be that matches the subject. Then I use not. Then I follow going to and the base verb. You can see that in my example here. The algorithm isn't going to suggest this show to you, but you should definitely watch it. Okay? So now this idea of suggesting, it happens all the time. It's probably happening to you as you're watching YouTube right now. On the right side of your screen, there might be additional videos that are saying, you might like this, right? So it's kind of making that recommendation. In this sentence, though, we're saying for whatever reason, this particular thing isn't going to be recommended. Finally, let's look at making a yes or no question in the simple future. To do this, we start with our present form of be. So am, is, or are, and we use whichever form matches our subject, and the subject comes next. Then we follow that pattern, going to, and the base verb. Here's another example. Are you going to suggest a compromise? Right? Maybe some people are having a disagreement, right? And we're asking about someone's plan here. Do you plan to sort of find a middle ground, find something that would be agreeable to both sides? Now, let's spend a little time looking at some words that are related to our verb suggest. And the first word we're going to look at is just the noun form of this word. It's suggestion. Suggestion. This can have a couple different meanings. One would be to refer to some idea that someone puts forward for consideration. Okay, an example, thanks to Ella for this verb suggestion. Right? I've explained before, but I'll do it one more time. Ella, the viewer, put forward this particular idea. A second way we can use the noun suggestion is to refer to something that implies or maybe it indicates a certain fact. An example of this might be in the sentence, was there any suggestion he was involved in the crime? So here, suggestion might be referring to evidence or information that indicates he was a part of or maybe acted with the intent of breaking a law, committing a crime. Another related word you might hear is the adjective suggestive. Sometimes we use this word just to mean indicating. An example of this, you might imagine someone tasting something. I think of this in kind of a formal or fancy situation, and the person is kind of wondering what's in the dessert. They say, oh, it's suggestive of coffee. I'm sensing or I'm tasting something here that indicates coffee is an ingredient. A second way, though, this adjective gets used is in describing something. It could be another person, it could be an object that makes someone think about sexual activity. So sometimes you'll hear clothes as being described as suggestive. And that's my example there, is this outfit too suggestive. Okay. The last related word we're going to look at is the verb auto-suggest. This is more commonly used now with our expanding technology. Maybe you've seen it as you use a smartphone and you're going to write a text or write an email. Technology now will present words or even phrases, a group of words. And they're using this based on analysis of other factors. So other messages you've sent, other common patterns that occur in language. So an example here. My work email auto-suggests various short replies to each email to which I respond. Maybe this happens with your email as well, where there's kind of a quicker way, instead of typing a few words, where it says, thanks for letting me know, or something like that. I can kind of click a button and then the words are there and they're ready. I'm ready to reply to that particular message. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.